Welcome to the Backyard Buddhist Podcast. I'm Ronn Pawo McLane. It's good to be here. It's good to be present and awake and focused. I took a couple weeks off and didn't record a podcast. I started to record one a few weeks ago and I stopped myself a couple times and was just just a little overwhelmed with other things, projects and things that I've been working on. I think I shared maybe in the last podcast that I've been working on some additional classes to put on Cultivate Meditation Academy, my meditation training company. So I've been really working on that. I'm super proud of what I'm putting together, and it's frankly some things that I've been working on for quite some time, and I didn't necessarily feel like I had the spot for them. And Cultivate Meditation, or CMA as I like to call it, is really the perfect spot and really is the perfect audience. So I'm looking forward to everyone getting to experience those. I'm not going to tell you what the titles are yet, but I've got two of them. One of them is completely free, and you'll enjoy that, and it'd be something that you can share with others as well, and has been an important training that I've shared for many years and that I find super duper important and practical. That's me. Practical Buddhism. So other than that, I think everything's been going well. I got my first vaccine injection on Friday, which was, I got a little emotional. It feels like, maybe we're getting somewhere and that maybe we'll be back doing some normal things. My husband and I were driving back. We got vaccinated a day apart in actually two different cities. So we had to drive to Lawrence, Kansas to get his shot the next day. He got a different brand. I got the Pfizer, he got the Moderna. And both of us got sick. Neither of us felt well and had headaches and achy, and so that was an experience. So I'm assuming that second shot that I might need to take a day or two off to recover, but that's okay. I'm relieved in a way. We've been trying to get some time away to go see my mother-in-law in Florida. And I mean, if I'm going to go somewhere, Florida sounds really nice and warm, and go to the beach and let my feet hit the sand and listen to the waves and water. And I've been thinking about that for quite a while. So I'm excited about that. But, as usual, I've been practicing a lot, and that is my mainstay. If I miss that and don't have that in my daily practice, I feel off. So I've felt a little rushed trying to get things together. And you know how you set timelines, and they're fake anyway, because I own the company, but we set timelines as goals to keep us motivated and keep us on track, but then sometimes they show up and feel like undue pressure. Because, as soon as you start creating content, there is, at least for me, there's usually a clarity that comes while practicing what you're teaching, what I'm teaching. And sometimes that means, go back and make sure that, all the steps and all the the proper guidance is given along the way. And, it just takes a step. A lot of times I will record my own lectures or my own meditations and then listen to them, with an ear of participation. I don't always get to do that. Um, a lot of my practice is leading. So it's always nice for me to take a load off and have someone else steer the bus. And even sometimes that's my own recordings. So I'm able to just kind of take a step back and go, oh, that one word, let's change that word to make it more precise, make it more clear. One of my refuge words, years ago when I took refuge with a teacher in Kansas City, she had us write down a word just spontaneously after we had taken refuge as a word that we could come back as, not necessarily a mantra, but as something that would remind us of why we had taken refuge, which was powerful for me. And I chose the word clarity. I've used that word sometimes if I'm writing, and I'm have that little bit of writer's block, or I get a little stuck. I just write clarity at the top of my page and think, okay, that's my goal. Be clear and concise, and hope to relieve some of the suffering through being as clear as I can be. I've also noticed in being my own sound editor, my own speaking pattern and voice, that I tend to sometimes languish in the expression and the word choices that I make. I'm very deliberate about trying to choose the words that are the most clear. So just as I did right there. So, part of my practice, and I'm not sure that I've fully shared this before, but I often meditate with a notebook, a journal. I have like leather-bound journals, and when I was a child, even up to, I say child, but even up to probably almost, 30 or 35 years old, I kept journals or diaries, and I enjoyed sort of mind dumping what things that were stressing me out, or things that were even profound thoughts that I didn't feel like I had anyone to share them with, or whatever it might be, just sort of a landing spot. And I've enjoyed going back, sometimes not enjoyed, but I've enjoyed looking back at those and reading them. I used to have a ritual when I would run out of pages in one before I started a brand new one. I would read all of them, and as a reminder of where I'd been and what I'd experienced, as sort of a plan to not keep repeating the same mistakes, which it was always evident to me when I read them back that I had repeated several mistakes, and typically in the relationship department of my early self, because I don't think I actually even knew what I wanted. So in not having a clear understanding of what I was doing, it was, a self-fulfilling prophecy that it was going to fail. So it did. However, I digress. I meditate now with a notebook, and sometimes you can catch me if I'm leading meditation, that sometimes something very clear will come to me, and I pause my practice for just a moment, not completely. I'm still fully awake and aware, but take a moment to write those thoughts down. And I've been working a lot lately with the Lojong teachings, attitude transformation in 7 parts, that was sort of revealed to me in Lama Surya Das's teachings, along with Lama John McCransky. So there's, some of the teachings have been coming up, and I think in a lot of what I talk about on this podcast and in the Dharma teachings, or Sunday Dharma teachings, as well as daily meditations, I'm quite often just pointing toward this moment, this profound moment that sort of sits between the past and the future. But it's the only moment that's truly alive. It's truly alive with everything that's arising. So thoughts, feelings, emotions, sensations, phenomenon is happening here and now in this moment. So there's really nowhere else to direct our attention. When we get lost thinking about the past, or engulfed by thinking about the future and what we think we want in that time that's not here, we often miss the potholes in the road and drive right into them because we're not watching, we're not participating. So it's really important to focus and learn to train yourself, to recondition yourself to be in this present moment. And that's really just, it sounds so simple, but it's really counterintuitive to what we typically do. If you think about, there are studies, I read a study not long ago on Noom, because I've been doing the Noom program this year in weight loss, which is an app. If you've never heard of it, it's NOOM. I don't represent them, but I've been participating and have dropped like 35 pounds already. And it's probably the easiest weight I've ever lost, but there's a component each day that is training. That's some readings that you do. And they shared a study on there saying that nearly half, I think it was 47% of our waking day is spent thinking about the past and the future. 47%. So if we could get even a piece of that back, just think how much better off we would be. I mean, talk about getting ahead of karma. And I feel like so much of the negative karma in my own life has been because I haven't been present. And it's sort of accidental karma. It's just happening because I wasn't really paying attention, and I got a flat tire driving through the pothole, or driving, off the road. So these are important. The other day when I was meditating, I got this clarity of the power of that awakened awareness in this moment. And I had asked myself earlier that day, what makes greatness? And it was really in response to, I was looking at the Grammy nominees prior to the award ceremony that was last night. And I was seeing some just amazing artistry and amazing performances. I love music, so it's not far from me to, bust out in a Broadway tune in the shower or racing around the house. We named our new puppy Millie, of course, for thoroughly modern Millie, and I languished and fretted over whether to call her Millie or Sutton for Sutton Foster, who played Millie on Broadway. So I'm never far from music. I've never been far from music. I love chanting. I love singing. I love listening to other people sing. It's a good feeling for me. But I was thinking about I was thinking about Billie Eilish actually. I think she's a very interesting character to me because she's kind of broken like the rest of us. She suffers from some anxiety and some depression and some, very human attributes, and still manages to really channel that into greatness. So I asked myself, what makes greatness? How do we get to be great? And of course, I had that immediate thought of, well, maybe it's genetic, or maybe it's just situational, and they were born to the right parents. Like Ben Platt to me is, of course, another Broadway star, but I also love him as a singer, and he's he's like my playlist, really. Like when I tell Alexa to play my favorites, it's a lot of Ben Platt songs. But his his father is an amazing um, producer, and he just, maybe part of the reason that he's so good is that he was born with the right opportunities. Not that, not to diminish, he's super duper talented, and in so many ways. So don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but I was wondering, does greatness fall on those, with better opportunities? But then, I think about people who maybe were just poor, and I don't think Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas were, born into, certainly a loving home. And I kind of like her parents. I think they're cool people, especially her dad. I think her dad's really an interesting character. But to support two very creative young people who managed to pound out all these Grammy Grammy winning songs and albums in their childhood bedroom. Like, it it's amazing to me. And they didn't come from a lot of money. They were, kind of poor. So, and she's got some challenges like the rest of us. So I asked myself, what brings greatness? And what came to me as I sat in that day's meditation was, I said, how do you be great? How do you become great? By planning, or remembering, which lead us to, past and future. So I'm going to plan to be great in the future. And that's where I get sort of caught up in the futuring. Futuring to me means planning. And I tend to over plan, and I have that personality that is always preparing for what's to come. Educating myself. I literally have a binder full of certificates, certifications, classes that I've taken, things that I've learned. If you need to know anything about hypnosis, or um, how to be a personal coach, or um, how to run a nonprofit. I'm certified in these things as well. Or Myers-Briggs, I'm certified in that. I'm certified in um, Sarbanes-Oxley standards, if you're a nerd enough to know what that is. Um, these are all things that interest me, and I dive in completely. But part of that is trying to be prepared. And I remember hearing Oprah say that she didn't believe in luck, that luck in her mind was opportunity meeting preparedness. And in that, I have over prepared. And not that it's not served me, because I feel that my personality and my longing to learn whatever um, is is good. I think it's good to have that hunger and have that curiosity that leads you to that. It's also led me to a slew of Kindle books I may never read, or I read the first few chapters and realize, no, that's not it. I I'll share this with you. I was reading a book on the um, Upanishads, that, it's some of the quintessential stuff that leads us into Hinduism and into Buddhism. And I thought, oh, I haven't read that. I've read things and quotes from it, but I should read that. So I was reading that, and it mentioned reading something from the original Sanskrit, and I thought, I don't I don't know Sanskrit. So I literally found myself at like 1:30 this morning looking on Amazon to see if there were books on learning to speak and read Sanskrit. I stopped myself because I see it coming. But how do you be great? Do you be great by planning and hoping for that opportunity? Or are you great by remembering or looking to the historical accounts of those who have been great before us and tried to emulate those? And maybe there's a combination of being prepared and being curious and looking for the path of others. We do that a lot. I certainly do that a lot with the Buddhist path, and the Buddhist teachers that I gravitate toward, and the teachings like Longchenpa that really draw me in and are so clear to me. But really, where the rubber meets the road is in this moment. And the opportunity that we've been preparing for by looking to the past or trying to prepare ourselves for the future is only available in the opportunity of now. Right here, right now. So it's not by simply looking to the past or simply looking to the future. If it's not happening now, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I've prepared for it or if I've looked at and understood the historical significance of Padmasambhava, our Guru Rinpoche. It doesn't matter if I understand that if I'm not putting that into action, wise action, right here and now. And that may seem so obvious, but we're not doing it. If we're spending 47% of our time thinking about the past or the future in the awakened part of our day, I think the rest of it is, the rest of that day is certainly things that, we have to pay attention or we'll die, like driving or, you know, crossing the crossing the busy road or, operating heavy machinery or cooking devices that we would certainly harm ourselves if we're not paying attention or harm others or, the presence that it takes to care for ourselves and, those little beings and big beings around us that need our attentive awareness. So it really, really points to never underestimating, never underestimating the power that this moment has. I think if you think about consider your experience and know that we all want to be great. We all want to have a legacy. That it doesn't happen by planning only or studying the history. If we're not implementing and acting with wisdom and compassion, loving kindness, here and now, I don't know, is it just me, or does that feel like the real key to the kingdom of understanding, the kingdom of, oh wow, I've been missing it. It's the forest for the trees. It's been here all along. What does the Glenda the Good Witch say to Dorothy? You've had the power all along. Well, we've all had the power all along. Don't overlook it. The potential for greatness lies within this moment. The most important moment. I always say that in meditation, and I've seen people's faces. It's been a little while since I had faces looking back at me in meditation, but I've said this moment is the most important moment, and I see the eye roll. I see the smirk, like, yeah. This is this moment that I'm being quiet with my eyes closed or half closed and, trying to meditate, trying to calm myself, calm my mind. This is the most important moment. And what I mean to say is, yes, this moment, this moment is strung together with an experience that doesn't cease. That unending consciousness that ties it all together. But we have to really utilize that tool of unbiased consciousness to see everything as it is, as it's arising, so that we can act with wisdom and compassion for ourselves and others. It's not hard if you're paying attention. It's really hard if you're not. So that's what we practice. That's what we practice when we sit in a meditative state every day. It's practicing presence, the here and now, the natural here and now, not as we're trying to conjure it, but as it really is, and taming our own neuroses about it, not getting stuck not getting stuck where we get motivated and drug around by our likes and dislikes. In the Lojong teachings, there are 5 strengths that are mentioned. And the teaching is practice the 5 strengths, the condensed heart instructions. And the first is strong determination, to train in opening the heart and mind. This is bodhicitta. This is the curiosity and compassion that allow us to see without judgment our own actions, our own interactions, and those of others as well. That awakened heart-mind. The second is familiarization with the practices such as Tonglen that help us to understand the giving and receiving of that compassionate wisdom. How to give it, how to receive it, how to transform it. The third is the positive seed that is within you, experienced as a yearning to practice and wake up. This is our motivation. This is where we find ourselves hungry to understand, hungry to learn Sanskrit so that we can read the ancient texts and see if we can find the true meaning, have a true, clear understanding of what they meant. The fourth says it's reproach, which is a tricky one for Western students, but it's an important practice. Realizing that ego clinging causes us to suffer. So instead, we delight in self-reflection, honesty, and in seeing where you get stuck. That's where I keep doing that same thing over and over. That leads me to despair or leads me to frustration. There it is. And when we see, there it is, we're less likely to trip over it in the future, right? But this all comes through the lens of awakened awareness. The fifth is the aspiration to help alleviating suffering in the world, expressing the intention to ourselves and understanding that as we give that gift to ourselves, we are also giving it to the whole world. So don't overlook it. It's right in front of you, this moment. So don't think as you sit down on the cushion that there's some linear path that you're missing, that there's some book that you must read or a degree that you must have or an awakening that you must have to develop this enlightened being, this enlightened experience. Brothers and sisters, my friends, that enlightened moment is with your awakened awareness now. Right here, right now, nowhere else. It's not next Tuesday. It's not the year after that. It's not 5 years after that. It's not after you've become a certain age or walked the path in the Himalayas. It's not that. It's this moment. This moment. The power of understanding that everything is arising. Everything is happening. Your heartbeat, your breath, the synapses that are firing in your brain now, not later, not before, now. Lama Surya Das gave me the name Ronn Pawo, and he said it means lotus space walker. And it sounds funny. He even made a joke that I could start signing my checks L Skywalker, which I thought was really fun and funny. But it sat with me in this way that has made me endeavor to understand that space. And I wrote something in the front of one of those journals in a retreat with Lama Surya Das that says, don't overlook the space within. And as I've developed my understanding and practiced, it's clear to me that it's not space like the final frontier. It's the space in between the future and the past. This space, this nowness. So, I hope to be a disruption in your thinking, and I hope to hear about your successes in that disruption, because it comes here and now, not anywhere else. So if you want to be great, be here. If you want to be great, be present with wisdom and compassion. There is greatness. Thanks to all my listeners all over the world. I love to see that you've downloaded the podcast. Love to see that you've listened to the podcast. And it helps to motivate me on this path. So don't overlook that you are the driver. For we only teach when asked. So have a great week. I'll see you soon. Bye now.